just a small percentage drop in your body's optimal hydration level can literally damage your DNA. Your DNA is essentially printing out copies of you. So it can start to mess that process up simply being dehydrated. It's the small decisions that you make daily that determine the ultimate success that you experience. So that's why this is so important. How you start your day matters because every single day is an opportunity. Every single day is a clean slate for you to create the life that you are truly here to live. And so why is this important? Number one, a consistent morning routine provides a sense of normalcy that roots you. You get rooted in that sense of normalcy because certainty is a human need. We've talked about the human needs via Tony Robbins before on the show, and we all have this need for certainty. And so because of the many happenings of the day outside of that are uncertain. For example, you have a meeting, right? But you don't know how that meeting is going to go exactly. Or you have to commute for 30 minutes, but you don't know how traffic is going to be. There's so many uncertain factors that are outside of your control. Your morning routine is something that you can control. It creates that normalcy to start your day. And also another big key here is that an intelligent morning routine effectively eliminates wasted days. Every single day you can start off with a win within the first 30 minutes of your day, the first hour. So you're not trying to pine away and try to feel like you got better. You can get that out of the way as soon as your day starts. Another key here is it generates momentum. Having a consistent morning routine generates momentum. And there's actually a whole science. There's a psychological momentum if people want to look into that. So the psychological science of momentum. And so this is important to understand as well. Take this away. Momentum works both ways. There's negative momentum that gets created. Yep. There's also positive momentum. All right. So, and here's a study. This was a 2014 study of rowers. This was looking at athletes because also when we hear momentum, we tend to think about sports a lot. So I looked for some examples for that. So this 2014 study of rowers found that overall effort exerted decreased more during times of negative momentum and increased during times of positive momentum. All right. A simple thing. And we're talking about the momentum of them winning, right? Having those consistent wins. And so as they have that momentum going, their exertion picked up when they were used to winning. And it went down when they were used to losing. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And also they found that interpersonal coordination also got worse under negative momentum. And as it turns out, people react to short-term momentum changes also depends on their long-term momentum. So what does that mean? There's another study of rowers that showed that athletes who have a long-term momentum against them are more sensitive to negative changes in the short term. Okay. So if you're have that black cloud hovering over you and something negative happens, it's even harder, right? But if you have that positive momentum going, you can kind of brush yourself off and get back in the game much faster.
You take it as a confirmation. And you can because you're expecting that. You've got that current, you're flowing down that current, that downhill stream. You're like, see, this is how it was going, right? But if you're in a stream of positivity, which is where I try to exist, I tell folks I'm pretty much there about 85% of the time.
Row your boat. Right? Let's go.
Gently down the stream.
Merrily.
Hey,
life is but a dream. That just happened.
See? We might have some Corsican action
So, as we move away from the little kid songs, so I want to share a study with you guys, and this is actually looking at morning routines specifically.
Okay.
Now, this was in 2016, and this was following 450 men, and found that making subtle changes to the morning habits for these men, the body clock can be manipulated to make mornings not only more tolerable, but actually improved their overall daily outlook. The researchers said that, quote, if optimized, a person's morning routine can boost energy, increase focus, and build self-esteem, end quote. So
I can see that.
I had to make this show because we did an entire episode, a masterclass on evening routines and how powerful those are at improving your sleep, at increasing your metabolism. Your sleep, your evening routine actually influences your metabolism. Crazy stuff. But we'll, of course, link up. And there's going to be a lot of go back to episodes today, a lot of resources for you. So make sure to get the show notes at themodelhealthshow.com. But that show was powerful. We
Yes, it
received
was.
so many incredible messages about that episode. But what about the other side of this? And during that episode, and there's going to be some consistencies here, we talked about what routines do for our brains and actually making something physical out of this. Not some airy-fairy, like, you should have a morning routine so you be successful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like that, all right? This is actually like what's happening physically.
Yeah.
And so this starts with the conversation of myelin. And so myelin coats the axons that transmit electrical impulses throughout your brain. What does that mean, Shawn? What does that mean? Well, basically, when you do a behavior, that behavior starts to create this connection in your brain, right? So there's this electrical, but it's physical, physical electrical connection that starts to fire and create that pattern. The more you repeat that behavior, the stronger that pattern becomes, the stronger that behavior comes.
Yes.
And it gets more myelinated. There's more myelin that gets laid down to insulate that nerve pathway from firing. So this is like a good example is Steph Curry shooting a basketball, right? And again, no disrespect to the Cavs fans.
Yes,
You know, shout out to everybody in Ohio.
Some of us are still tender.
But that ability to shoot the three-pointer, you know, as many times as he's done it, he doesn't have to think about it anymore. Right. It's laid down. That myelin is so dense and created this nerve firing from all these different directions. And we are doing this to ourselves whether we know it or not. We're doing this also because it's not practice makes perfect.
Right.
It's perfect practice makes perfect.
Sure.
Better yet, it's practice makes permanent. So whether you're doing what is advantageous to you or not,
right.
Your brain is locking that behavior in. This is why it can be so difficult to break what we call, quote, bad habits.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So it will take some persistence because I've had to fight that on both ends. On the evening routine, getting home and I'm pooped, then I'm wanting to sit down and not go into my routine, but that created a habit that was already there. It became something that automatically, after a long day, you get home, you don't want to do anything else. Yeah. I had to start making a change and a new association before I even get to the house, late or anytime after 6, to say, tonight I want my routine. I will have my Epsom salt bath. I will have a conversation with my husband, and I will turn my phone off at 9 o'clock. And I have to say it before I even enter the door. Yeah. To start beginning to lay down a new message. And the same thing in the morning. This morning I woke up thinking, oh no, I forgot something. Some work thing was the first, and I started to reach for the phone. And I said, nope. I told myself, I had to say it out loud. Chris thought I was talking to him. And I said, no, I'm trying to break this cycle. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to do the first things first. Yeah. And then I'll get to it. It'll be there.
I want to come back to that point.
Sweet.
Exactly, of going for our phone first thing in the morning.
Okay, good.
And tying that in here and finding a way that, again, that we can, everything is an option. Not saying that that is a behavior that can't be something positive, but we'll dissect that in a little bit.
Awesome.
So every habit begins with a psychological pattern called a habit loop, right? A habit loop.
Makes sense.
And it's a 3-part process. First, there's a cue or a trigger that tells your brain to go in automatic mode and let a behavior unfold. And the example that I gave on the evening routines, Michael Hyatt, when he was on the show, he talked about activation triggers. So this is something that happens that triggers a behavior instantly. So for him, he set it up in his office that as soon as I believe it's 5 o'clock, the lights go out automatically in his office, telling him he needs to get out of there and go and spend time with his family.
I like that.
Because he knows he can have a tendency towards being a workaholic, and his family is very important to him. So he created this activation trigger. Then there's the routine. That's the second part, and which this is where the behavior itself is taking place. That's what we tend to think about when we think about habits. And this is from Charles Duhigg, who wrote The Power of Habit. Now, we first have to have the trigger, which is, for you talked about when I get home, because before I get home, then bam, 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 these certain things happen. Absolutely. It's an automatic thing until we realize it and either change the trigger or change the behavior, right? So that's first, we've got the trigger. Second, we have the routine, which is the actual thing that we do. And then third, and this is very important, and this is what he talks about, Charles Duhigg, is the reward. Something that your brain likes that helps it to remember the habit loop in the future. All right, your brain has to be anchored in. This is where we mess up when we're trying to create positive habits, is we're not getting the reward. We have to get the reward and to be conscious of that.
Right.
right? So
Right.
we can consciously come into this and giving our brain these habit loops, creating the habit loops consciously and not missing out on the reward portion. So
That keeps it from being an entanglement.
yeah,
So if you're fighting to do the thing without the reward, then it's
right.
going to look
It's like,
more
why?
like a
It's wrong. It's like it's totally against human nature. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, why am I doing this for real?
Right.
You know, even with
Right.
negative habits, we tend people that feeling of smoking the cigarette,
Mhm.
right? You get that reward, right? And then we try to start exercising and we just feel sore,
Horrible.
right? This is like your brain is like, what is wrong with you? Don't put ourselves in harm's way, right? So we have to find the reward portion of that. And so now that we've got a little bit of the science behind the scenes, I want to talk about my personal morning routine from back in the day. All right. Back in the day when I wasn't doing too well. All right. Back in the day when I was struggling with my health, when I was struggling just getting to class, right? Because of this chronic, so-called incurable spinal condition. And so I had trouble just literally getting to campus. And so, you know, continuously dropping classes and that kind of thing. And for me, my morning routine was like, the premise was I had no real direction in my life, you know, and my daily mission was to just see how long I can stay in bed, all right, and still make it and be there on time. That was the mission. Now, when I say that, some people, you can identify with that right now,
Yeah.
right? The daily mission was to see how long can I stay in bed until the time I have to be to where I need to be. And so for me, I was like, okay, it's 15-minute drive to get there by 7 a.m. plus 5 minutes to get dressed and brush my teeth. All right. So, okay. Then I get up at 6:40. All right. 6:40. And that was my daily life.
Ready,
right.
set, go.
Very sad way of being. And this is because not only am I putting my stress level at 10 when I actually get up in the morning, but I'm playing small. This is the real issue here. I'm playing small and I'm not doing anything to put myself at an advantage. And I'm obviously not going to be showing up as my best, whatever I'm showing up to at 7 o'clock. Right? And so stressing to show up on time, this is a big part of this morning routine portion and being able to personalize it for you, which we'll come back to. But what does struggling to be on time cost you?
Oh,
It's
man.
stressful.
Yes.
It's very stressful, and it's stressful to be average. That's the thing. That's what the stress does to us. That's what it's costing us. It's costing us an average life. And I love this quote from Chris Rock's father that he told him one day. You know, Chris was like, he was working to get to some audition or something like that. And Chris was like, you know, I got to get going because I need to be on time, right? And he was actually met with this important takeaway, and it stuck with me. He said that if you're not early, then you're late. Well, you shouldn't be trying to be on time. If you're not early, then you're late.
Yep.
Because, again, it puts you at that psychological disadvantage. You're not there. You're not settled. You're behind the ball.
Absolutely.
And so for me, again, my morning routine consisted of how long can I stay in bed to make it to this place on time still, instead of having these success rituals that you're going to learn about today to truly create momentum,
Right.
to create that sense of normalcy, to get some early wins that
Yes.
all snowball into something really powerful.
Which makes me think of what you mentioned earlier about the psychology momentum
Yeah.
that exists. Because then if I'm thinking, well, how can I make this an epic arrival? You know, something I'm trying to impart in the children. I say, I say late is not a herald trait. And I make that an affirmation
that,
for them,
yeah.
and that early is on time is late, and late is bad business. And that's not how we get down.
I like that. I'm going to snap for that. There you go. I like that.
But there's a psychology to that. It's in that. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Going in.
Right.
And when
right.
you mentioned purpose, that just really hit home for me. What is my purpose in it?
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna be stressed to be average or below average, then what's
Exactly.
the point?
Yes.
If I'm avoiding an exertion of energy to become something, then what's the energy exertion for?
Man. So please take that away and hear this.
Yeah.
It's stressful being average.
Right.
Everybody listening, you're listening to the show because you are not that.
Mm.
You are an exceptional human being. You're somebody who has potential beyond anything that you can even see.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with you creating these strategies, creating these rituals for yourself to put yourself in position to be your best, right? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready,
That's right.
right? So now we're going to go ahead and dive in, and I'm going to take you through this template that I use. This is gleaning a lot from my life personally, but I'm also going to share with you some morning routines of some very successful people who decided to chime in and add to this episode as well. So for me, the framework is called the 6 Fs. All right, the 6 Fs. So we're going to go through each one.
The 6F framework.
There you go.
I love it.
I'm going to snap again for you. All right. All right, so we start with the 6 Fs. So the first F that we want to get in the morning is to fuel your circulation. Fuel your circulation. This is the very first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is I get myself hydrated by drinking high quality structured water first thing. And I'm drinking about 25 to 30 ounces of water, maybe even upwards of a liter of water.
Yep.
And why do I do this? Well, just a few things that water is responsible for. People have heard this many times. The majority of your body is water. We're talking about 70 to 80% of your water, like when I'm looking at you, is made of water. Water is what really animates your tissues, all right? Your brain is fat and water, all right? It's kind of important. But water really functions as this extracellular fluid, as well as your blood, your synovial fluid, and the list goes on and on. These very, very important liquid compounds in your body need water. And when you become deficient in those things, guess what those fluids do? They literally start to get thick, right? They start to become murky.
Sludgy.
Yes, good word.
Yeah.
And another thing that this is really like a hallmark thing for is your DNA function. Just a small percentage drop in your body's optimal hydration level can literally damage your DNA. Your DNA is essentially printing out copies of you. So it can start to mess that process up simply being dehydrated. Also, your body, your neurotransmitters, they move throughout your body on a water superhighway. Your hormones as well. That's how things travel and communicate throughout your body. So that communication starts to get messed up. So these are just a couple of things. And we did a water and hydration masterclass. It was episode 73, one of the most popular episodes to date. So we'll put that in the show notes for you if you happen to be one of the 5 people that didn't check out that episode yet. So water is crucial. And why is this so important in the morning? Well, this is one of the most dehydrated times that you experience outside of getting out and doing a lot of exercise, being out in the sun and sweating, that kind of thing. When you go to sleep at night, we're talking about, for the average person, somewhere between 6 and 9 hours of not consuming liquids, right? Not consuming water. But that's not the only thing. You're not just laying there. Your brain and your body are doing literally millions and millions of different processes to bring you back better while you're sleeping. And there's a lot of metabolic waste that result. Even your brain, the majority of your brain is detoxifying itself when you're sleeping. 10 times more activity of your glymphatic system. This is your kind of extracellular waste management system for your brain. 10 times more active when you're sleeping than when you're awake.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And if you're not getting up and rehydrating your tissues, that stuff is just hanging around in your body. Sure. This is literally like an oil change to start your day, getting out the old stuff, bringing in the new.
Yeah.
Right?
That takes it back to sludgy, because if this is how communication and movement happens, and if that's still going on at night and we're not doing anything to support it, then there is going to be some backlog.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And also, I want to pinpoint something that, again, starting your day like this puts you at a huge advantage because you're just simply able to get in some of your hydration needs for the day. I give the general template, which is half of your body weight in ounces of water each day. That's the goal. So if it's a 200-pound person, they want to drink 100 ounces of water as your baseline. A 150-pound person, 75 ounces as your baseline. And then we adjust from there with your activity level and such, but that just gives people a barometer of where you want to be. But here's another important, and again, that's putting you in an advantage for your day, getting that hydration in first thing in the morning, because even if you're carrying around your fancy bottle, like, Jade and I have, sometimes we forget those bottles, right? They just sit there and they're part of the ambiance. Yeah, they're part of the feng shui, but we're not drinking enough water, right? So you can get it in the first part of the morning and it creates that routine, that habit. Now, you don't want to guzzle just any water. Let me make that clear too. And we dissect that in episode 73. So make sure to check that out because a lot of people, even today, maybe at least every day, somebody messaged me on, social media, whatever the case might be. Hey, Shawn, there's a guy at the gym trying to sell me this alkaline water machine. What do you think about those?
Alkaline water.
I'll tell you one thing. Don't never play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Listen to that episode and I'll break down exactly what those machines are all about and whether or not it's ideal for you.
And this is alignment with that early too. The early is on time. So you're getting your water early in time in time for you to use
being
it.
proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
well,
I love it.
It's a nice way of saying it too.
So that's number one of our 6 F's, and that is to fuel your circulation. So now we're going to move on to number 2. Number 2 is to feed your mind. Feed your mind. Now, there's a few things that are as important as this, but it's so often overlooked in our society. We begin immediately to feed our minds with things that disempower us. And that puts us on a certain track to start the day because it's creating that momentum. People getting up and they're checking the news. They're jumping in and checking their email. There's going to be some kind of stuff you don't want to hear. But why do we check email anyways? Because we're looking for that good news. We're surrounded by like 10 other things that you got to take care of, right? And so here's the thing. We want to proactively feed our minds to start the day, not just our body, not just our tissues, but feed directly your mind. And how do we do that? Some of the things that I love to employ and that you're going to see consistent with some of these very, very successful people is reading, right? Reading books to start the day. This might be a full chapter. This might be, a nice amount of pages to get through in a book, but I'm going to be reading to activate that part of my brain. And it also creates this very strong neural association that's what I do in the morning. And a great example of this is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, literally one of the richest humans walking around ever, right? And when asked how to get smarter, Buffett once held up a stack of paper and said, read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge builds up, like compound interest. And he knows a thing about compound interest. So this is literally saying that knowledge compounds. When you're reading, that compounds. So not only are you smarter, but your genius level, your Jimmy Neutron level smartness. All right. Now, he says that he sits in his office and reads probably about 80% of the day. 20% is execution. And this is how he gains more knowledge and becomes better at what he does. And the immediate argument is going to be, well, I don't have time to read all day like that, Shawn. He's rich. Yeah. He's rich. Now, this is the thing. Listen, he's telling you how he got rich. Yeah. He's telling you how he got rich. And if you can't read an hour a day, can you read 30 minutes?
Shoot,
can you read 20 minutes? Can you do
build up?
Can you do just 10 minutes, right?
Right.
He's literally sharing something that helped him to get to the place that he's at. It's so simple, but are we doing it, right? And so we can employ and take to heart this strategy and add in some reading during the first part of the day. And for some people, it's just not their cup of tea, which is all good. But I love the statement that leaders are readers.
Yep.
Right. And so this is it's in our consciousness because it's a thing, right? When you talk to some of these very successful people, whether they're entrepreneur, whether they're heads of corporations, a big portion of their education, the continuing education, by the way, is through books. Yeah. So we've got that, or we can shift gears. It's a great time if you're not a reader per se of audiobooks, podcasts. You can throw on a podcast in the morning while you're getting ready, while you're drinking your morning water, while you're doing your stretching, doing a little mobility work, whatever it might be, you can tie that in. But we got podcasts you can tune in to feed your mind to start the day. There's inspirational videos like Eric Thomas, our guy Eric Thomas, who's been on the show a couple of times, the #1 motivational speaker in the world. And if you click play on one of his videos and you're not like, what?
I will have to wake up the whole house.
Let's go.
Right.
Whatever it is, if it doesn't get you fired up to really act on your potential, there's something wrong. You're missing. There's something wrong with your medulla oblongata.
Somebody bring the CPR.
So here's the thing. And by the way, we'll put his episode as well in the show notes.
Both of
But this is a great way to start your day because you get that positive momentum. You get that positive kick to start pushing you in that direction. So feed your mind every day, even if it's 5 minutes, right? Even if you make this whole process that I'm sharing today into a 10-minute process, right? Maybe this is 2 minutes. Like you listen to 2 minutes of Eric Thomas video or podcast, or you tune into the Model Health Show for 5 minutes, whatever the case might be. Add that piece in every single morning, and I'm telling you, you're going to see huge dividends in the long run.
Our
So
buddy
that's number
Hal
2.
Elrod said we can knock it out in 6 with our lifesavers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hal Elrod, who wrote The Miracle Morning.
Yep.
And so, and of course, he's
That
on the
was
show
very
as well. So we'll put that in the show notes.
Mhm.
All right, so that's number 2 on our list of the 6 F's. So with number 1, we got fuel your circulation. Number 2, feed your mind. Feed your mind every day. Make this a part of your morning routine. Number 3 is to focus your power. Focus your power. So often we wake up and we're at the mercy of things that are going on in the world. You know, again, Jade gave the example in the evening of the phone, you know, being able to put that down. Or for most of us, you know, it's grabbing that phone first thing in the morning with the stress as well that she mentioned. And we immediately putting ourselves at the mercy of other people's agenda. You know, it just is what it is. Whether it's a text from, you know, your sister and you wanted to do, you know, maybe pick up the kids, or, you know, it's an email you're checking and you got to, you know, send in some files or whatever it might be. What is your goal for the day? Whatever your big goal was, now it's playing second or third or fourth. And the day is going to get away from you and you're not executing on your number one thing because you're taking care of what other people's needs are. And that's the thing is, it's not that that's wrong, because you could do both. But it makes it so much more difficult to do yours when you put all those other things in front of you. How do you actually serve at a higher level? You get your big thing done so you can show up the best version of you to take care of everybody else.
Take
That's
the
really the key.
reins of it, as opposed to getting tossed about on a mechanical bull called your day of somebody else's
A
plan.
mechanical bull.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I'm from Denver, man.
Why did the Genuine Pony song just come into my head?
Because you are unique.
Wow, wow, wow.
Woo.
So when I say focus your power, it's not just avoiding things that can start to pull you down, but employing things that can elevate you. And so for me, it's brain training. This is a time for meditation. This is a time for really, quote, getting my mind right and being able to focus on my own objective and to be able to find a sense of peace and connectivity and focus to start the day to execute. Because another reason we're not executing and getting things done is we feel scattered. And meditation is one of these proven tools that we all have access to, that we can have in our superhero utility belt to employ. But again, it's the practice. It's called a meditation practice. It's not something you do every now and then. Expect, you know, like, come on, inner peace. Come on. I'm waiting for you. It's not going to work that way. Hurry up. I've got 5 minutes for inner peace. It's understanding that you create that. You create this space. And I've experienced this firsthand, you know, starting off, you know, I've been meditating for at least 10 years, at least a decade. And everything I do has a purpose. I'm not doing this just because, right? I'm doing this because of the results that I've seen in my life. It literally transformed my life. Mm-hmm. If people were to ask me, like, what's the number one thing that helped me to go from where I was to where I am, I'd say meditation.
Sure.
For sure, because it created that space to where I can become clear. I can become focused and vision. You know, there's a big part of visualization that can be employed in this space as well. And I want to share with you guys a couple of studies here as well. And these are directly from my book, Sleep Smarter. And there was a study that was published in the journal Brain Research Bulletin. And researchers discovered that people trained to meditate over an 8-week period were better able to control specific types of brain waves called alpha rhythms, right? This is getting you in an alpha state. This is getting your brain into flow, all right? And that's just one. So Ash, let me shift gears really quickly because there's a ton of studies in here, but one for health. This is from the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, found that meditation lowered blood pressure and reduced the risk of heart disease and stroke. And numerous studies also demonstrate that meditation can reduce chronic pain and associated inflammatory biomarkers. You can literally, it's clinically proven, you can reduce inflammation in your body by meditating. Fantastic. And also, of course, I talked about the relationship to sleep in the book. And this was the American Academy of Sleep Medicine published a study finding that meditation it's clinically proven to be an effective treatment for insomnia, equal to that of some of the popular insomnia medications. This is free. This is free.
Yeah.
No
You
side
have the
effects.
power.
All right, now here's the thing.
Yeah.
The study showed that over a 2-month period, and this is again consistent meditation daily. They were meditating in the morning, helped them sleep better at night
No, sure.
because they had the tool available to basically minimize all those windows of your mind that are open when you're trying to go to bed, right?
Full of shade.
We want to. It's not that we don't want to be able to have a lot of things going on in our mind. That helps us be successful.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody needs an answer on something, if you don't have 10 windows open, you might not be able to pull that data out,
Sure.
right? But when we want to go to sleep, we want to be able to minimize those and just keep the sleep window open, right?
Yeah.
It's not about not having thoughts. You're going to have thoughts. You have a brain.
If I only had a brain.
Is that the Wiz version or is that the,
I know, right?
the classic
Either way.
Wizard of Oz? All
Either
right,
way.
either way. Shout out to
I love them both.
shout out to Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow.
As the Scarecrow.
It's kind of weird though, right? Wizard of Oz is weird.
He rocked that though.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah,
did that.
yeah.
So here's what they discovered. The study
We
showed
just
that
went down memory lane.
the study showed that a 2-month period, this is all the things that were improved. Sleep latency. This means they fell asleep faster. Total sleep time. So they actually slept longer via meditation. Wake after sleep onset was reduced. So this means they woke up less frequently. Sleep efficiency. So this is what really Sleep Smarter is all about. How to get better sleep. Not sleep more, but how can you sleep better? And so this is actually efficiently moving in and out of the right stages of sleep. Their sleep quality improved, overall sleep quality, and also a decrease in their symptoms of depression in all of the patients who use meditation. All right. This is not some airy-fairy thing. This is something that is real, and this is something that has solid science backing its efficacy. And if we can employ this, we make this a part of our morning ritual, this puts us in a place to really be able to focus our power.
Absolutely. And you talk about, you said, I don't do these things just because. I do them for a reason. What I gather from that is that you're the cause of the things that are to be, as opposed to there are other things that prevent or dictate. So just even changing that to, I'm not doing it because I am the cause in the matter of the things that will be. I will have a greater day. I will have greater sleep, and I'm the cause in that.
Love that.
I will perform greater. So
I love that.
I
am
got
the
it from you.
cause. I
Yeah.
love it. I love
you're
it.
the cause of the things to be.
Now, let's go ahead and move on to number 4 here on our list of the 6 F's. These are the things we want to employ in our morning routine, or 6 things that you can pull from. All right, so we covered fuel your circulation. Number 2 is feed your mind. Number 3 is focus your power. Number 4 is fire up your metabolism. We can start our day in a metabolic advantage by adding in some smart exercise. So why is that? Well, exercise, we've all experienced this, right? We get this, quote, runner's high. We get the endorphins flowing. We start to feel good when we exercise and move our bodies. And for many people, this is one of the only times because they've got some things going on with their hormones, which we've done multiple shows on this. We just did one with Dr. Alan Christensen talking about adrenal fatigue. Got to listen to that episode.
Yes.
But during exercise, because it kickstarts that system and making you feel good. We got the endorphins and enkephalines flowing. So that's one component of it. But also, movement generates a certain form of electricity called piezoelectricity. You literally are charging up your cells when you move. How powerful is that? And I often refer people to this statement that humans don't get energy.
Yes.
Because people come into my clinic and they're like, Shawn, what can I take? What can I take to have more energy? But we don't get energy, we create energy. You are an energy creating entity, right?
Yes.
It's sort of like this, why in the Matrix they were using people as batteries,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because you do have this energy currency, this electromagnetic power. Like you can literally, if there was a way to harness the power you have in your body, you can light up a city.
And you know what's deep about that is that they weren't just plugged in. They had a mental reality of movement, action, life, ordinary carrying on. So it wasn't like it was just a stagnant state. There was
deep.
activity,
Deep as the
this
ocean
so
right
that
now.
they could just see.
Whoa. Whoa. I know Kung Fu. All right, so we've got the piezoelectricity, the endorphins, the enkephalines, and also this is just a great way to start your day because how you start your morning is going to show up for you when you lay your head down on your mattress at night. as per the study that's cited in Sleep Smarter as well with Appalachian State University. And they had exercisers to train at 3 different times exclusively throughout the study period. So stage 1, they had them exercise exclusively at 7 a.m. in the morning and tracked all their results. Phase 2 of the study, they had them to train exclusively at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Phase 3, they had them to train exclusively at 7 p.m. at night. And what they found was that the morning exercisers spent more time in the deepest, most anabolic stages of sleep than the other 2 times when they were exercising. They also tended to sleep longer. And most importantly, this is the piece here again, is that they had more efficient sleep cycles. And they found that when people exercise in the morning, they had an average of a 25% greater blood pressure drop at night than the other 2 groups. So that speaks to an activation of what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, or your rest and digest system, and a deactivation of your sympathetic fight or flight system, which Allah helps you sleep better. All right. So what do we need to do here? For many people listening, like, and I did this before Sleep Smarter came out, I had to do this. I did it for an entire year. I did a test to see what happens, because I've been a morning exerciser for a long time. Like, as far as I can remember, when I got my act together with taking care of my own health, I exercise in the morning most of the time. And so I decided I'm going to exercise in the late afternoon, early evening for an entire year and see if I could still get the results. Because for guys in particular, for some ladies too, it's all about our gains. Like, I don't mess up my gains. And so for me, it was like, I'm still going to do 5 minutes of exercise in the morning, but I don't want that to mess up my training later. Everything improved. Testosterone went up. Strength numbers went up radically. My reaction time improved. Everything got better. So my morning exercise, because this is the key, even if you are exercising after work, get in 5 minutes in the morning so you can get some of these benefits, because what that is something we call a cortisol reset. Mm-hmm. So it helps to get your cortisol elevated normally, like it should be. If we're looking at evolutionary biology, our cortisol should be peaked in the morning between 6 and 8 a.m., and then it'll gradually drop as the day goes on. Mm-hmm. We can have some spikes here or there, but that's the track. And this is why so many people are tired in the morning, because their cortisol, that coffee pot of cortisol, is actually not filled. It's not ready to get poured out yet. And to get exercise, and it gets that coffee pot filled up. It's
it brewing. One thing that really inspires me then about how you share your previous morning routine and how difficult it was to get going, it just really inspires hope in the idea that, look at you now. I mean, it's even hard to believe that you ever were in that place. Yeah. And it was a real place. It actually existed.
Yeah.
And wherever we may be on the spectrum, that each new day can be that story in a day.
You know, I asked my wife just yesterday. Yeah. I was like, did I ever, because, she's been there at so many talks that I've done, like literally all over the world. Mm-hmm. And she's been there. And, she was like, just like cracking up at this last talk that I did. And the guy who put the event together, he was like, she was really into this. He's like, do you not listen to him speak often? She was like, yeah, all the time, but it's these different elements. Right. And, of course, just having a good time while still teaching. But I asked her, I was like, have I ever, like when we got together, did I share my story with you? And because I knew that I didn't, but I knew I shared pieces. And she was like, no, not really. I mean, you mentioned facets of like, when you were dealing with this issue, like, struggles with your, with school and things like that. Like I shared pieces because I was in the story. Right. The story was still getting written.
It was right. She was there.
So the pieces were happening. And as I started to employ more and more of these pieces that I'm sharing with you guys, it led to where we are today, to where I have the story to share. Exactly. And so it was just like, wow, because I was in process. Mm-hmm. And we really are. It's all of this stuff is really a process of becoming, right? And it doesn't stop. And how can we continue to get better? Even 1% each day is starting your day with a win by employing these things. So we're going to move on to number 5 here on our list of the 6 F's to optimize and create your morning routine. And number 5 here is to fortify your health. Now, the first thing that you have when you start your day, this is you're breaking your fast. It's obviously going to impact your tissues a little bit stronger because your body doesn't really have anything directly like in your belly, right? In your belly. However, of course, there are still going to be some reserves scattered throughout your tissues, and there's going to be food in your intestine somewhere. But I'm talking about when you take that first thing in, it's going to hit your system without a lot of interference. So it matters. Okay, now, so let's move on to number 6. So we've covered here with our 6 F's. Fuel your circulation, feed your mind, focus your power, fire up your metabolism, fortify your health. Number 6 is fulfill your mission.
Oh, come on. That is awesome.
So it starts with this very simple question. What is your mission for the day? What is your mission for the day? Because the big mission has smaller components. What is the one thing that you want to execute on for this day to move you closer to your ultimate goal? And if you don't get a clear view on what that is, how in the world are you going to get where you want to be? You have to get clear on what that is and answer the question, what is your mission for the day? What is the one thing that's going to help knock over all the other dominoes? And so it's like with the map, right? Dora the Explorer, right? When they're trying to get somewhere, the map comes out, right?
On the map, yes.
On the map.
Yes.
Right?
It's like, on the map. Kind of got so
I think he got a record deal, so we haven't heard from him in a while. Yeah. It's called Trap Map.
Oh, right. With the
All right, so
that's perfect.
also, without the map, right, if you don't know where you're going, you become more susceptible to distraction, aka swiper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
How do you know this so well?
So
I wonder.
these are the keys. These are the keys here. Having that map and asking the question, what is your mission for today, right? You don't have to conquer the world in one day,
Right.
but just what is the number one thing? What's the thing that's going to move you forward the most? And this goes back to the statement of eat the frog, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is that the big thing? Get that big thing out of the way, and the rest of the day is downhill from there.
Mm-hmm. That fits
The
in
biggest
with your
task,
F's.
this is like the domino effect,
Yeah.
right? That Jay Papasan talked about,
Mhm.
the author of The One Thing. And what is the one thing that can knock over all the other dominoes? What's that big thing that moves everything else forward? That's what you got to do. And for me personally, I love creating a tomorrow list. All right. So
Oh.
I do this the night before, right? Where I know what I'm going to execute on. And it starts that subconscious patterning already. And then in the morning, I could just recap, like go and review what that's going to look like. And they're great tools to help you to do that, like the Freedom Journal, with John Lee Dumas
Yes.
and when he was on. So now, from there, so we've covered our 6 F's, and the last one was to fulfill your mission. It's as simple as that. What direction are you going? What is a big thing? And I hope that you got some value out of that piece, but I want to add in some other things that you might want to mix into your morning routine. I'm just going to bullet point these.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing you could do is journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And we did an extensive, expressive writing episode. That was episode 172 with Katie Dalebo. And also, of course, with John Lee Dumas, who's just a mega star. He's a mega star. He's killing it. Killing it. And that's episode 138. Everything will be in the show notes at themodelhealthshow.com, of course, guys. You
Shouts
can
out to Kate.
hop over there. And also, you could do it on iTunes as well. You click on the little our little icon for this episode and whatever. You'll figure it out.
Right.
It's very intuitive. They say Apple's intuitive, right? Qigong. You can add in Qigong. This adds in the movement piece and the meditation piece at once with Tristan Truscott,
Yes.
one of my good
Energy
friends,
thing, yeah.
episode 154. Focused work time. This might be a time for you in your morning routine where you get 30 minutes of power session in of writing or of research. I love to have this as part of my day.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast. This can be something that's added into your morning routine. Or if you're doing intermittent fasting, or if you're just doing the elixir like I'm doing for the first part of the day. And so episode 124, 8 incredible health benefits of fasting. We did that as well.
I love
Shower, obviously. Another
Why not?
F here could be like fix yourself up.
it. Freshen up.
All right, freshen up. All right. So shower, which
I've got a
for me
couple.
today,
Uh-huh.
I ended my shower with the cold.
I
right?
know
The
you
co- We did
did.
an
Oh,
episode,
my goodness.
cold thermogenesis, the benefits of cold thermogenesis, episode 127, game
That
changer. Check that out.
brown
All right, now,
edibles.
lastly, I want to tie in some stars, like some other people's morning routines, and to see if you notice a pattern here. We're going to go back in history first to start with. So we're going to look at Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
All right. It's all about the Benjamins. It's literally like it's time. If you're all about the Benjamins, do what Ben
Do
did.
what Ben did. You want Benjamin?
Follow Ben.
Follow Ben.
All right. So here's what he had to say. He said, "Wisdom is measured in routine. Wisdom is measured in routine." And so he actually has, and this is out there it's on the internet. I've seen this many years ago. his actually written up morning schedule. And it starts with between the hours, and he has this structured off as morning from 5 to 7. And this is what he has here. So he starts off with this morning, the question, what good shall I do this day? That's how it starts. The question, what good shall I do this day? And so for me, and before I even saw this was something that existed, every morning, which I did this morning, the first thing that I do when I become aware that I'm aware, I wake up, I ask, how can I serve today? That's the first thing that I do every single morning without fail. And it's not like I'm looking for an answer. I just let life hand that to me.
I was going to say, I can
guarantee
do a few things.
guarantee throughout the day, I'm going to find those places where I can be of service. And it starts the order of the day. How can I serve today?
Mm-hmm.
And so then he shifts gears here. And so this is what his 5 to 7, his morning routine is: rise, wash, and address powerful goodness. He wants to address powerful goodness, contrive the day's business. So he's doing his planning for the day. He's getting out his structure, his big goal. What is the goal for today? What is the big thing he wants to accomplish today? And also it says he takes the resolution of the day. All right, takes the resolution of the day. So it's kind of like if you're looking at affirmation, right? Also, he says within this time frame in his morning routine, prosecute the present study. All right, so this is his time for feeding his mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's doing. And breakfast. That's how Benjamin Franklin starts his day. And notice if you see any consistencies here. We're going to start there. So next up, I sent a message out to some of the most successful people that I know, some friends of mine, and, had them to text me back, like, what does your morning routine look like? And I might have heard pieces of it before, but for most of them, I didn't know. But surprise, surprise, they all do have this morning routine. And so the first one is going to be, this is from Natalie Jill.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Superstar, right? Fitness, Natalie Jill Fit, all right? Just like she's crushing it. Her social media influence, and she's just such a heartwarming, like, good person. And she is somebody who, her story is, she became a cover model like when she was almost 40. It was the first time that happened. She made this decision after going through all of these problems with her health. But she felt so compelled, like she has to share this, and she has to do this in a way that reaches a lot of people, especially women who are in that story, like, this is not possible. And she's a mom as well. Like, and again, it's another thing we use as a story instead of a motivation, instead of something that helps to spur on some greatness. It's like, I can't because. And so Natalie Jill, this is how she starts her day. She says she's up at 6 a.m., snuggle with husband. She listens to a podcast while getting dressed. And then she takes her time making and eating breakfast and having tea while writing in her gratitude journal. And then she's going over and choosing her 3 main goals for the day. And after that, she just kind of writes that stuff down, wraps up her morning routines, and she just goes and executes. So that's how she starts her day. It's pretty simple.
Fantastic.
So now, how about my guy, Pat Flynn?
Hey.
He is the creator of Smart Passive Income. He's helped, easily a couple 100,000 people to transform their lives and to really start to make a living doing more work that they love, and also just making a living, period, because the game has changed, right? The game has changed, and people finding a way, because as we've talked about with Dr. Roizen, financial stress, that's one of the top 3 biggest stressors for people that are causing problems with our health. And so I love Pat Flynn. So here's his morning routine. And it's changed over the years as his kids have gotten older.
Yeah.
He has 2 kids as well.
Uh-huh.
So he gets up at 4 a.m.
With him.
Splashes water on his face 3 times. It's a pattern. It's that specific. Then he brushes his teeth. He has some food and coffee. And he journals while he's eating. And after that, he does some meditation. And Wednesday and Friday, he's playing 5-on-5 basketball. And this is early. I think he goes, it's like at 5 o'clock or something. And other days, he's reading for 20 to 30 minutes before he starts his day. Then he gets, the kids get up, he cooks and eats with them, if that's how the schedule's going. And he says, obviously, shower after playing basketball. So this is Pat's morning routine. Did you notice any consistencies?
Absolutely.
Have you heard this multiple times yet?
Absolutely.
All right. So now let's look at Drew Manning. Drew is one of my friends, really close friends. Love this guy. And of course, he was on the show as well. Fit to Fat to Fit. So he's the trainer, changed the game. It's become a TV show is on A&E, very successful show. I think it's the second season is about to come out if it isn't already. But he purposely gained 70 pounds to experience what it was like because he felt like he just didn't understand. Like when he's working with his clients, like, why don't you, it's not that hard. And it totally changed his whole perspective, you know, and there's a lot to glean from his example, but he really understood about emotional eating. He really understood about this emotional attachment to food. He really understood how embarrassing he felt when he would go to the gym and he just couldn't do the things that everyone else was doing. And it made him feel like he didn't want to go. Like all these different small things that somebody might experience that we can bring more love and compassion and support to. And he did this. And so let's see. His thing is 6 a.m. wake up, 6:01 pee, 6:02.
He's so funny.
6:02 drinks water with a little sea salt. Then he meditates after that at 6:05. 10 minutes for that, and then he does some affirmations after meditation. Around 6:20, he's having his coffee. He's doing a gratitude journal. And then he jumps on emails at, this is about 30 plus minutes after he gets up. But he gets his morning routine in. Even if it's just this 30 minutes, he got all of these things. Guess what? He started the day winning. So that's Drew Manning. Danielle Natoni, Fit and Funky on everything, all right? Especially got to check her out on Instagram, at Fit and Funky. And I love her and her husband, Darren. Yes. Two of my favorite people as well.
Tell them
and
I
so
said hi.
This is what she sent over. And by the way, I mean, my goodness, she is just killing it. She's killing it on every level. It's just amazing to see her and what she's accomplishing. So she says, up at 6 a.m., pee. There's another pee again. Drink water, pee again. She has pre-workout, and let's see, she takes a pre-workout post for social media. She's on her. If you want to build your social media, you need to check out what she's doing.
Oh, man.
Because it's amazing.
If you want to dream big, watch her work out.
So pre-workout picture.
Oh my
Then
gosh.
the workout,
Exactly.
where she posts a lot of clips from her workouts as well.
Which are no joke.
Then she takes a post-workout video. Then she grabs her computer and coffee, and she gets to work. That's how she starts her day. See, another drinks water, right?
Right.
Powerful. It just got me thinking too because people are like, I don't want to drink that much water because I'm gonna have to pee. That's a problem.
Right.
It's a problem to pee, and of course there's extenuate. Like I've worked with many, teachers over the years.
Oh, sure.
I've worked with people in so many different fields, but it's like I can't leave the classroom, whatever. Get this morning piece in, right? You could drink a little bit more.
Morning pee.
Right. Get this in, and then you'll be able to modulate throughout the day a little bit, more of a strategy.
Better,
but the bottom line is you need to be peeing. This is like your filter for all of this, like getting rid of metabolic waste. It's not a problem going pee. And, one of the things, wouldn't it be cool if like somebody can go pee for you, right? It's like, tell your kid, like, go grab the remote.
Right.
Go pee for me while you're up. Unfortunately, it's one of the things that you have to do yourself. Like Jim Rohn says, no one could do your push-ups for you. Right. No one can go pee for you. All right. But you need to get hydrated. All right. It's a good thing. All right. Lastly, I've got one more here. And again, this is another really good friend, Michael Morelli. The Sweet Potato Diet, baby. Oh my, the recipes in that book. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, so good. And Michael has just been, he's a beast. Yeah. Like he's just been killing the game. All right. And so he's the fitness guy. He says that what he does is he goes to sleep around the time the sun goes down and wakes up around the time the sun comes up, which is somewhere around 4 o'clock for him. And he has coffee. That's the first thing he does. High quality, organic. He has that good stuff. Then he jumps in the pool, does a little pool work. He does some reading. And so he likes more of a spiritual text to start the day, something that's self-development, spiritual, kind of getting that part of the heart and the mind combination going. And then he does his training after that. And so that's how he starts his day. And then he says he crushes it the rest of the day, but he actually puts some explicits in here, just like, and then he just gets on it, right? He crushes it.
I bet there's some F's in that.
And so every day, the 6 F's. I love that. So every day, that's what you're talking about, right? 6 F's.
Of course.
Every day, he says that it just depends on the day whether or not he's eating before he trains. It just kind of depends on the day. But there's a consistency. Did you see, again, these consistent pieces from each of these people in their their respective fields, their respective life experiences as well? We always have a way.
Yeah.
And we could take from these incredible individuals and add these pieces to our overall strategy. And so in closing, I really want to just wrap this piece up and to deliver a few extra additional tips to help you to crush your day as well by creating your own powerful morning routine. So number one, and keep in mind this critical fact, a great morning starts the night before. All right, a great morning starts the night before. If you haven't done so already, make sure to listen to episode 216. I think that's the one to go to after this episode. And that's the one we did, evening routines that enhance sleep, accelerate fat loss, and supercharge your brain. You're going to make your morning routine all that much sweeter by actually feeling good when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
All right? So that's number one, is a great morning starts the night before, and to use that to your advantage. Number two is to customize it. This isn't a cookie cutter thing. You can take and add pieces that feel good for you, because each of these people have experimented with a lot of things as well. And they find the thing that works for them, and you just keep doing it because the benefits just keep adding up and adding up. So customize it. Number three is to adjust for extenuating circumstances. So my morning routine might typically be an hour, but I'm traveling, I've got to talk early in the morning, and sleep is important. So I condense it down to 20-minute process. Instead of doing 10 minutes for each thing, now maybe it's 3 minutes for each thing, or whatever the case might be. For extenuating circumstances, have some flexibility, but don't forfeit your morning routine. Your brain and your body expecting those things. Find a way to add those pieces in. And some of those things is like when you're traveling, for example, or you got family and kids, maybe it's some parents are staying over and some random thing. Or of course, if you got kids, they have curveballs. All right,
Yeah,
they've got the split finger curve coming at you. All right, and I'm thinking about
And
the
it's
movie, which I
fast,
never
yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
Trouble with the Curve, is that what it's called?
I don't know.
With
that one.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably good, but if you haven't seen the movie, I
If
guess
it's
don't see
Clint
it.
Eastwood,
I guess
would
don't see it.
believe it would be.
So travel, family, kids, and another one is abnormal time restriction. So this is when something is on your calendar at a random time, and you've got to adjust for that. So adjust for extenuating circumstances. Number four is to schedule it. Actually schedule your morning routine. Put it on your calendar. You can actually allot it for a block of time. So maybe it's a 30-minute thing you just block off on your calendar so that alert comes up, But for me, it shouldn't be so you're going to your phone, though. For me, I don't even see my phone first thing in the morning, which I'm going to address in just a second, to start the day most of the time. Nobody's perfect, all right? But, for me, it's like morning routine. It shows up right there on my phone. Or you can break it into the components like Drew did, like by the minute for him. It's just like, it's 6 o'clock this, 6:01 that, so you could break it down. But bottom line is schedule it. Actually put on a schedule so it creates another layer of accountability for yourself.
Puts it into existence.
And I do the same thing for my, when I expect to be in the bed, like that's on my calendar, like nighty night, right? All right, so number 5 here, and this tip is super valuable, is to combine morning rituals that fit well together. If you want to. You don't have to do this, but it just makes it all work, especially with time constraints, or just might feel good to you. For example, exercise while listening to a podcast.
Or do laundry.
And what somebody's doing right now, shout out to you. I see you. I'm with you.
That's right.
Let's go.
Fabric softener, baby.
What?
If you're doing laundry. I mean, you were talking about the exercise. For me,
I'm over. See,
that's how I combine
I
it.
thought we were here.
We are.
And you were in the laundry.
Somebody's got to keep the shirts
Right.
fresh.
There you go. I like that. Also, of course, you can, sip on your morning elixir while reading, or having your breakfast while reading or journaling, like Natalie Jill mentioned. So there's these wonderful options and ways to combine things. But the bottom line is you can combine these rituals, if you like, to put it all together in a cohesive fashion for you, because that's what it's all about. So last quick point, just a reminder of, our morning ritual. We want to start by executing on our number one goal for the day. And so going over to your phone and hopping on social media or answering questions, that kind of thing, it distracts you. So get your morning routine in, and then you've got time and you've already got your wins so that you can do whatever it is that you were going to do on your phone or check an email or whatever the case might be. But take care of you first. Employ these strategies that you've learned today. Create a consistent, powerful morning routine so that you can live the life that you truly want. And so thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I truly, truly appreciate you. And if you feel that this was valuable and something that could be helpful for your friends and family, make sure to share this out on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. LinkedIn, you could share it up there. Send it to them in an email, but just help other people to start crushing life by employing their own morning ritual and how powerful that can be, and adding some of the science behind it and some of the strategies, just giving people options because, in today's time, we're living in the time of the greatest distraction. There's so much coming at us. If we can start our day with some normalcy, if we can start our day by getting in some early wins, it can really set the tone for building some powerful momentum to truly becoming the best version of ourselves. So I appreciate you so much. Take care. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon. Hey, if you like this video, make sure to check out this video right here to up-level your health today.
The more the variability on the color of your diet, the more the variability on your intestinal flora. So eat the rainbow. Tan foods will make you sick. Eat the rainbow. Blue, green,